Hello, everybody, and welcome to Secular Ultra Quran, your one-stop shop for everything secular, ultra, and Quran. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Surah 4, verses 34 through 68.
Ow, that last part.
Yeah.
See, maybe you should have kept up.
No, that was intentional.
Why didn't you keep up?
Because I wanted to trip up the AI that scans all our videos for profanity in the first 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. So
No, I can distinguish between two people talking at different rates.
Did you?
Can it?
No, I don't know. You really might have screwed with it.
I wonder.
It can do a lot of stuff. You know what was crazy? One of our videos did get removed the other week.
What?
Really?
Which one?
Yes, it was an old video.
Which
and I mean very old.
Is it
I mean
mine?
one that I did on the ontological argument years ago. Like 9 years ago.
Why did it get removed?
So there was a part where I taught that's that argument where it's like, oh well, if you can imagine like a greater thing, then it has to exist because it's greater to exist than to not exist. Therefore, God exists because it's greater. So like one of the counter arguments is like, well, I can't imagine a more painful thing than being on fire. So like I had like a picture of like someone on fire, and it got fucking tagged for that, and the video got removed.
You remember what YouTube used to be like?
It was the Wild West, man.
And
It was the Wild West.
I miss the old internet. It was better.
See, the thing is, in some ways it was better because it was insane, but in some ways it was worse because
It was slow.
well, it was slow, yeah. But also,
Remember waiting like 5 minutes for a page to load?
I remember dial-up.
Yep.
Also, Eric Wander, member for 18 months, huge, and he's got himself is that a silver calf? Looks like perhaps a silver cow, silver bull. So
Yes.
yeah,
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
yeah, and April's here too, and also unapologetically Chrissy, and April's got her golden calf.
Incredible.
Yeah,
That's
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's a cap
there.
that truly
there it
reflects
is.
the sacrifice that you've made in the form of your membership.
Yeah, it's about how much the golden calf itself was worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we're talking about a few things today for the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're finishing up all the talk about women in the Quran,
Great.
and we're not finishing up. There's gonna be other parts, but
Incredible.
there is one specific section we're gonna go over that is disagreement between husband and wife. Now, one of the things I noticed is that the part where we talked, last week was basically supposed to be just about women's rights mostly.
Mm-hmm.
That was most of the stuff that we covered, but really it was.
Rights.
Yeah, it was mostly which women you had the right to marry.
Yeah.
that was
Or
that was
just, like slaves.
yeah. So it wasn't exactly about
Also, I
women's
think there
rights.
was a bit of confusion in the last episode because they did refer to sleeping with a married slave at one point. But then they differentiate later on by specifying that you can marry someone who is a slave as a separate thing.
Yeah.
And so
That counts as like a different
don't
marriage.
necessarily have to marry the property of your right hand. You can just do it.
Oh, that was an option, yeah.
Yeah, it's an option, but it's not necessary.
Yeah. But either way, I read the first part of this on the last show, and it was hopefully people show up for it because it's kind of a you know what, in context it's funny.
There's two very different translations of this that I have to begin with. First,
Yeah, there I also have two different
I
translations.
have the Quran from the Quran Project and the Study Quran, as well as the Penguin Classics Quran, which I'm actually going to reference this time
Oh, okay.
because I want to see
The translation.
the translation that they do.
Well, while you look for that, we have a thematic commentary on the Quran. We have Quran translations from Abdullah Yusuf Ali, Maulana Muhammad Ali, and the Quran and the Bible from Gabriel Said Reynolds. So, I mean, while you look for it, did you want me to at least read this first verse, the first part of the verse? Because it does pop up a few ways. So, from Gabriel Said Reynolds, men are the managers of women because of the advantage God has granted some of them over others. And then other translations say men are the maintainers of women.
Here in the Quran Project, it says men are in charge of women.
Oh, well then.
Which is a little different.
Oh, yeah, here's men are the protectors of women. Although this one, both of these actually do have a commentary here. So I will read them. So from Maulana Muhammad Ali, he says that, apparently this means he maintained her and managed her affair, having charge of her affair.
Yeah.
Hence, he is said to be her maintainer. But the thing is, even from the description there, it sounds like a manager.
Yeah. Well, the Study Quran says men are the upholders and maintainers of women. But the Penguin Classics Quran says men have authority over women.
Right, yeah. This one says, this one does say protectors. Interesting. This one says protectors and maintainers of women. And the note here says one who stands firm in another's business, protects his interests, and looks after his affairs. Or it may be standing firm in his own business, managing affairs with a steady purpose. So,
we have firm disagreement between translations, essentially about the scope of this.
Well, here's the feeling I'm kind of getting from this. I know this is just like the first part of the first verse that we're reading today. But yeah, because of all the translations, it's important to talk about. So what I'm getting is that the idea is that you're supposed to, that they do rule over women, that they have to manage all their affairs.
It's like a just rule.
Yeah, it's a just thing. It's because it's like, well, we'll make sure that you're all taken care of. It's very chauvinistic. It's very much like, well, you're not going to do anything because all of your choices are not, maybe not all of them, but they would be like against your own best interest. So really, I, as the man, must take over these this decision making for you.
Do you know any Muslim woman?
Yeah.
And how do they feel about this?
I guess I haven't asked them.
I think you should get their opinion.
Yeah, I should. That's a good idea. Yeah. Either way, yeah, that was the first part of the first verse there.
Yes, it is a very straightforward declaration. I'll do the whole verse, then I'll do some commentary on it. Men are the upholders and maintainers of women by virtue of that in which God has favored some of them above others, and by virtue of their spending from their wealth. Therefore,
Oh, yep, yeah. So this is.
Wow. Are they saying that men have to be in charge of women because they're irresponsible with money? Is that what they're saying? Well, it says that,
okay, so he has granted some of them, because of the advantage, God has granted some of them over others, and by virtue of their spending out of their wealth. So let's see
what is the implication here?
I am not sure. I'm not sure, because when it comes to who is actually doing the action in a lot of these, it's kind of unclear in the English translations.
It says here that it's for the purpose of supporting the woman financially. So the verse is the clearest statement of a man's role and authority in the marital relationship as head of the household in relation to his responsibility to provide for his wife. Other verses,
this one's actually kind of better here. The one more strength than the other, and because they support them from their means. So yeah, the men are the ones that are paying for everything.
But that would just imply that there's a limitation on women that prevents them from working.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me continue with the verse, and then I'll get further into the commentary, because it is quite chauvinistic in nature.
See, hold on, April, before. Yeah, so no, silly men have to be in charge of women because we're the equivalent of pets. It gets better. Keep reading.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in their husband's absence what God has guarded. As for those from whom you fear discord and animosity,
This is very
admonish them and leave them in their beds and strike them. Then, if they obey you, seek not a way against them. Truly, God is exalted.
Holy
Great.
shit! Hold on.
It just tells you to beat them.
Holy shit!
And I'm going. Let me check the other.
I'm checking this translation.
So this is the order. But those wives from whom you fear haughtiness, this is from the Quran Project.
Okay.
It's presented in order of operations, right?
Yeah. So, like, obviously, like the
Advise
righteous
them.
women.
Yeah. Advise them, then if they persist, forsake them in bed, and finally, strike them.
Yeah.
And there's a footnote.
As the last
resort.
Yep.
It's unlawful to strike the face or to cause bodily injury. So this is something that you might not know, Lawrence. Spanking in the state of Wisconsin. Is it legal?
Isn't it? I think so.
Not if you do it with an object.
Really?
Not if you do it hard enough to leave a mark. It's very similar in nature to what's suggested in the footnote of the Quran.
Okay, so as long as there's no evidence of it,
yeah,
it's okay.
You're not allowed to like give your wife a black eye, but you are allowed to slap her, I guess.
Here's the thing. Like, domestic abuse should always be bad, whether or not you have a black eye or whether or not you do it with a weapon or without.
Specifically be advocated in the holy book that you're adhering
to. I would agree. That's crazy. Wow.
That's frustrating. I'm going to read the commentary because there's a lot. And then we can talk more about it.
Yeah.
This verse is the clearest statement of a man's role and authority in a marital relationship. I read that before. Other verses suggest mutuality in the relationship between husband and wife. But
some did. Yeah. This one is not.
But this verse indicates a hierarchy from a certain perspective between the two, at least on the social plane. This verse identifies men as the upholders and maintainers of women. The Arabic may also be translated managers or guardians, although in the sense of guardians over minors or the mentally incompetent. And this has traditionally been understood to mean that men are entitled to expect certain kinds of behavior on the part of their wives, and that they have the right and duty to supervise, educate, and discipline them, or to command or prohibit them. Men have this position by virtue of that which God has favored in some above others, which, because it repeats the almost identical phrasing in verse 32, likely refers to men's greater share in inheritance relative to women, and by virtue of their spending from their wealth, that is, to support the women. Thus, many interpret the verse as to refer to the greater financial assets of men and their spending of these assets on the bridal gift and maintenance for their wives. That is, these additional assets constitute a favor combined with responsibility God gives to men, but one that in principle comes back to women in the form of marital support. For Ibn Ajiba, this is acquired authority, since men's more authoritative position in the marital relationship is acquired, at least in part, by their fulfillment of the duty to support the women of their family, including but not limited to their wives. Many commentators and the Maliki and Shafi'i legal schools considered men's authority and financial responsibility in marriage to be directly linked so that a man who did not support his wife could no longer claim authority over her.
Okay,
Although for all Kartubi, such a situation constituted a nullification of the marriage contract. Many commentators also claimed, however, that the favor that God has given to men includes spiritual and worldly distinctions, not necessarily related to financial matters. So there's much more, but you had something to say.
Yeah, so so it seems like, because men provide all this stuff, you need to be obedient to them.
But
is the idea.
Men are only providing that stuff because they're allocated more of a share of the inheritance by what was just previously defined.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's justified on the basis of what it's just asserted.
Yeah, their system is set up for them that way.
Yeah. It's because I said so, damn it.
Yeah, so, it's literally because I said so.
Right, yeah. So regarding the last remedy, hitting them, this is the copium that happens with religion. Regarding this last remedy, two things must, however, be borne in mind. Firstly, it is a mere permission, and sayings of the prophet make it clear that though allowed, it was discouraged in practice. Do you know how fucking easy it would be to say, hey, don't hit your goddamn wife?
Yeah,
do you know how fucking easy that is?
On a scale from 1 to 10, how often do you hit your wife?
Around once in a...
Right. Loaded question.
Okay, I'm going to go into some detail on this. In the face of a woman committing nushus.
Sorry.
It's explained by different commentators.
Oh, it does say here, yeah. I've translated as
inappropriate behavior.
It says here the word nushus is translated here as desertion, primarily means rising. And as spoken of a woman in connection with her husband, it means her rising against her husband.
Okay, so let's go into detail about this because there's some details from the legal schools, right?
Sure.
Just in general.
It's insane to me. Hold on, just before you get into it. It's insane to me that, like, in order to justify this, they are going into, like, so much detail.
Yes.
In order to be like, well, what really counts as being disobedient? Or, what falls under the purview of this word? Under which circumstances can we beat our wives?
Right.
Like, man, like I know they need to cope their way out of this. They need to find a way out. So I understand how it works, but like,
yeah, let me detail this for you. Okay, these are the offenses: immodest behavior towards other men, coming and going without regard for the husband's wishes.
Wow.
Arrogant disregard for or resistance to the rights of the husband. Loathing the husband. Abandoning his bed.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? What was that one?
Not going to bed with him, basically.
But that was one of the that was punishment number 2.
No, but
if she's disobedient, there was punishment number 2.
But
so one of the ways, let me get this straight. So one of the ways
punish them that way, but they can't do it to you.
Okay.
Yes, very clearly. And this is the last one. Desiring to leave him.
Oh, wow. Desiring to.
Yeah. A literal thought crime, right? But
that's wild.
Like, wouldn't it make sense in certain positions?
That's
absolutely ridiculous. But in the face of a woman committing one of these heinous acts,
of course, yes,
such
of course,
as desiring to leave her husband,
right? Yeah,
a husband is given 3 sanctions to correct her behavior. These 3 sanctions are commonly understood as progressive, meaning that husbands should begin with verbal correction.
Right.
Yeah, they should remind their wives of their religious duties and obligations in the marriage. Oh my God. If this doesn't succeed in changing the wife's behavior, men may leave them in their beds, usually understood as meaning to refrain from sexual relations.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. I know this is the interpretation, but how does that square off with the stuff that we read about women being able to initiate a divorce? How does that work together? Like if we are now being told,
there would have to be like extraordinary circumstances, I'm sure.
Like if he cheats on her or something.
Yeah.
I guess that would be like the only reason you're allowed to, right?
Yeah. He can have like 4 wives.
Right,
like,
yeah. Well, what if there's like a fifth that he can't marry the fifth one?
Yeah, of course.
Right, yeah. So that would be really the only okay.
They just changed the law, I think, in Iraq to lower the age of consent to 9.
Okay.
And that's pretty
all right.
Pretty wild. And they can have 4 wives.
Yep.
Let me go on. So a minority tradition indicates that it means to remain aloof from them and refuse to speak with them, and some permit men to have sexual relations with their wives without speaking to them in this situation. However, it's interpreted such staying away from one's wife should last no longer than a month, following prophetic precedent. Because refusing to share the bed of a wife who's already averse to her husband may serve to encourage or reward rather than deter her negative demeanor toward her husband. Some commentators argue that the sanction should be meted out simultaneously with the third sanction, striking her. This last sanction is directly related to the occasion for the revelation of this verse, as it was reportedly revealed in relation to a woman or a family who came to the prophet complaining that her husband had hit her. The prophet immediately ordered retaliation, allowing against the husband. This verse was then revealed, allowing the husband to strike his wife in certain circumstances, and the prophet abhorred the retaliation, saying, I wanted one thing and God wanted another.
Wow. Okay.
Perhaps considering the prophet's own dislike of husbands striking their wives, as suggested in this widely transmitted report, as well as reports indicating that he never struck his own wives.
Good for him.
Commentators generally indicate that striking one's wife is to be used only as a last resort.
Sure, yeah.
Some prominent legal scholars, including Al-Shafi, considered it something to be avoided. Some have indicated that it's justified only as a means of avoiding the more socially painful consequence of divorce. An interpretation consistent with the following verse, which stipulates that the serious effort should be expended to try and reconcile and avoid divorce. The commentators are unanimous in asserting that to strike her refers only to a moderate and non-injurious form of physical force without violence.
Just a small light tap.
And without leaving a mark.
Uh-huh.
This is based on a hadith that lists the rights of woman that are owed from her husband, that he feed her and clothe her, that he never strike her in the face or mar her beauty, and that he not abandon her save in the house. Some commentators assert that this striking should not even cause pain. Ibn Abbas explained that it means hitting with a siwak, a thin, flexible twig chewed on for dental hygiene. Islamic law prohibits injurious violence against one's wife, and some schools of Islamic law consider it legitimate reason for which a woman can seek divorce. Some recent...
Oh, okay. That There's something at least, but I guess that's... See, the thing is, it shouldn't even get to that point. Just get a fucking divorce. Just don't get to the point of domestic violence. Just get a fucking divorce.
Yeah, there's a linguistic argument that follows.
Oh, my God.
Some recent interpreters seek to avoid the sense of physical hitting entirely by invoking alternate idiomatic meanings.
Sure.
Daraba, to strike, arguing that the verb can mean simply to leave the wife, given another Quranic usage of daraba, such as daraba fil sabil, which means to set out on a path, or daraba fil lard, which means to journey. Some interpretations are not entirely convincing, however, since the wider semantic range of darba they invoke is activated only by various prepositions and syntaxes not found in the present verse. To use an analogous example in English, strike him is unambiguous in its meaning. Even if strike a balance or strike oppose or other
strike him with fear
uses,
or something like that.
Yeah. Finally, commentators note that these sanctions are understood to be strictly for the purpose of altering the wife's behavior, not for punishment, as they are to be abandoned once she has ceased the problematic behavior.
Yeah.
So until your wife does what you want, you're permitted to strike them, but not so hard as to bruise them, but you can find ways around that.
Sure, yeah. But the thing is, this entire section is about how to deal with a disobedient wife. So,
but the disobedience can also be inclusive of not wanting to be with her
right,
husband.
yeah, pretty loose.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next verse, though, shall we?
Yeah, and if you fear a breach between the two, then appoint an arbiter from his people and an arbiter from her people. If they desire reconciliation, God will bring their agreement between them. Truly, God is knowing, aware. Worship God and ascribe not partners unto him, and be virtuous towards parents and kinsfolk, toward orphans and the indigent, toward the neighbor who is of kin and the neighbor who is not of kin, toward the companion at your side and the traveler, and toward those whom your right hand possesses. Yes. Truly, God loves not one who is a vainglorious boaster.
We did get something like this before, especially the first part, don't ascribe any partners to God.
Yeah. Which is typically understood to be a reference to idolatry.
Right. Although we have talked about the possibility of there being
a Trinitarian.
Maybe not. Yeah, like an anti-Trinitarian one. Yeah.
And this one is like generally be nice to people, including those whom your right hand possesses. So that means that you're supposed to be nice to your slaves, but wouldn't it be nice to not own them as slaves?
Yeah, it'd be pretty nice.
No way.
Okay. Those who are miserly and enjoin a people to be miserly, concealing what God has given them from his bounty. We have prepared for the disbelievers a humiliating punishment. They keep saying this. And those who spend their wealth to be seen of men and believe not in God or the last day, whosoever has Satan for a companion has an evil companion indeed.
Well, you know what I have to say about that.
Yeah, well, that's us. We paid for cameras to be seen, and we don't believe in God or the last day.
No, that is us. Yeah, definitely.
We're friends of the devil, apparently.
That is true. We are. That's why we love the song Shout at the Devil so much. I mean, that's why I love the song.
Don't clump me in.
Oh, that's right. See, Chris can't listen to music with lyrics in it.
Yeah,
he hates words.
Automatically gets points deduced.
Yeah.
Can never be on my liked list of any kind.
True. So let's see. As Rudolph mentions, the spirit of this verse may be related to Matthew 6:1-4. Let's see. Be careful not to parade your uprightness in public to attract attention. So that's the whole boasting thing. So when you give alms, do not have it trumpeted before you. This is what the hypocrites do. Yeah, these are we talked about this before. The people who do it just for show, the people who do all the religious and good deeds just for show, just in front of other people to make it seem like they're good, but really they don't take it to heart.
So basically they're like the fool.
They are the fool, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What harm would it have done them were they to believe in God in the last day and spend of that which God has provided them? God knows them well. Truly, God commits not so much as a mote's weight of wrong. If there is a good deed, he will multiply it and grant from his presence a great reward. How will it be when we bring forth a witness from every community, and we bring thee as a witness against these?
Although it is interesting here, surely Allah wrongs, in verse 40, surely Allah wrongs not the weight of an atom. And this one also uses the even to the extent of an atom's weight. So like they don't know how big atoms are.
Mm-hmm.
But what they do know is that if you go back to what's his name, Democritus.
Where would the weight of the atom come from in that
remember
translation?
Right. So let's see. What is that? That's verse 40. So it
is an atom's weight in the Quran Project.
Yeah. So remember, when it comes to atoms, this is at a point where atom was a theoretical. Was a theoretical thing for the smallest possible thing.
Yeah, something that couldn't be divided.
Right. Yeah. So they knew that whatever that was small.
But it doesn't refer to the collection of electrons.
Yeah, it doesn't refer to what we now understand as the atom.
It seems pretty close.
No, because the idea of atomism goes back to Democritus.
Mm.
So, right, I'm pretty sure it's Democritus. Wasn't he the guy that came up with atomism? That things
I think so.
Couldn't be broken further.
Democritus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I know Epicurus was an atomist.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so there's so it goes back to that idea that there would be the smallest possible thing. Yeah.
Indeed. On that day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the messenger will wish that they were level with the earth, and they will conceal no account from God.
That they were leveled, that the earth were leveled with them. So like that
It's similar to the lament of the disbelievers in 78:40. Oh, would that I were dust.
Right. This is like the whole Job's
They want the earth to devour them.
Not Job's. What was it? In Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, right?
Mm.
I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was Job. Like, it's better off that I never was born. It was one of those because they were depressing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I basically, agreed. I agree with that idea, but still depressing.
You like that one book?
Ecclesiastes?
Was it better to not have lived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just better to never have been born. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Life is awful.
Damn, dude.
Existence is pain.
Why are we doing this?
It's like an antinatalist book, I think. It's like, don't have kids. Ooh.
Yeah, they're just going to suffer and die.
Yeah.
As we all do.
I guess that's like their conception of life is just suffering, which is very Buddhist.
I agree. Yeah.
But I think they have a different understanding of suffering. They mean like...
They must, yeah. They must. Because Buddhism is all about like, let's get the fuck out of here.
It's not dukkha, right?
Right, yeah.
It's like, actual suffering.
Yeah.
Stuff you don't like. Anyways, you who believe, draw not near unto prayer when you are drunken until you... I thought alcohol was forbidden in Islam.
Right. Yes, that's also what I thought. So this is curious.
Until you know what you are uttering, nor in a state of ritual impurity, unless you're passing through, until you have washed. But if you are ill or on a journey, or if one of you has come from satisfying a call of nature...
It's from the toilet. If one of you has come from the toilet.
Yeah. Or you have touched woman... and you find no water to wash yourself, I presume. Then resort to clean earth. So you wash yourself with dirt and wipe your faces and hands. Truly, God is pardoning, forgiving.
Yeah.
If you don't wash your hands correctly,
Right.
God is forgiving.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
But if you want to leave your husband...
you know what? Before you even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although this section, you did bring up the part that was most interesting to me. Like, what's the point of saying don't pray while drunk if you're not supposed to drink at all?
Okay. In Islamic law, drinking alcohol or ingesting any intoxicating substance is forbidden. However, 4 verses address the consumption of wine or intoxicating drinks, and only one of them bans wine explicitly. The earliest of the 4, 1667, refers to the strong drink that people derive from the fruit of the vine as a sign of God's merciful provision for human beings and contains no indication of wine's harmful properties.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So while it does seem like most commentators are agreed that this is some sort of like actual intoxicant, some people have suggested that it would be like, oh, intoxicated with sleep or like something like, honestly kind of dumb where you're just kind of like out of it, not necessarily a drink, but most people interpret it to be a drink. Mm-hmm. But either way, the prohibition against praying when intoxicated was a step towards the total prohibition of drink. For the necessity of going to prayer 5 times a day would afford little opportunity for indulgence in drink. First of all, not true. All right, I've seen some people go hard. The verse makes it further clear that one must know the significance of what one says when praying to God. That part, sure, and then having to be clean for it, right?
A minority tradition extends the meaning of drunkenness to include excessive sleepiness that would similarly impair one's ability to pray properly. Such an interpretation would mean that the verse was not entirely abrogated by the later prohibition against drinking wine.
Also, it does seem that the notion that one should not pray when drunk may seem obvious enough, although Geiger notes that it has a precedent in the Talmud. There's Berakoth 31b and Eruvin 64.
There are differences among legal schools as to whether the absence of water for washing yourself, right, is a condition for the acceptability of washing yourself with dirt. Mm. How extensively one has to search for water, how ill one has to be before resorting to it, whether it removes the impurity or merely makes it temporarily acceptable for a Muslim to pray, whether the prayer has to be repeated if water's found before the prescribed time of the prayer is elapsed. They also disagree about the extent to which one should have to touch woman in order to become impure. Some argue that this refers only to sexual intercourse, while others claim it means touching of any kind. Legal instructions require one to make the niyah, or intention to perform washing, and then to touch the earth or rub a piece of stone twice, once to wipe the face and again to wipe the hands. So I'm going to do a couple more verses and hand it off to you.
Sure.
Hast thou not considered those who were given a portion of the book, who purchase error, and wish that you too should stray from the path?
Strange wording there. Yeah. Have you not regarded those who were given a share of the book? Oh, so these are the people. Yeah, the people who went astray. Are these talking about the Jews then?
Yes. Yeah. God knows.
I guess this would be the Jews and Christians, right? Because like they have received a portion of the book.
Yeah. God knows best your enemies. God suffices as a protector, and God suffices as a helper. Among those who are Jews are those who distort the meaning of the word and say, we hear and disobey, and here is one who hears not, and attend to us, twisting their tongues and disparaging religion. And had they said, we hear and obey, and listen to and regard us, it would have been better for them and more proper. But God cursed them for their disbelief. So they believe not, save a few.
Yeah, so the thing is, in the Bible, it says stuff like this all the time. Like, they didn't hear, they didn't see, like, they chose not to obey, right? Mm-hmm. That happens in the Bible a good amount of times. But on this, there is quite a hefty commentary.
Well, Ibn Kathir reads it as a general condemnation of Jews, although the historical context is primarily the prophet's conflict with the Medinan Jews.
Yeah, there's no way it would be a reference to all of them, I don't think. So yeah, the Arabic behind pervert words from their meanings. Oh, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but at least one of the words in there, it says that from yuhar ifuna comes the Arabic noun tarif, the term used by Islamic tradition to describe the accusation that Jews and Christians falsified Islamic revelations allegedly given to them, the Torah and the Gospel. Because remember, if you have like this original untainted like message, to them that is what is being obscured, not necessarily like the writings that are in the Quran. Mm-hmm. And wrote in their place the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. On this verse, Tafsir al-Jalalain focuses on the Jews and explains some group from among the Jews distort, alter the words that God revealed in the Torah pertaining to the descriptions of Muhammad. Okay, then. That's even worse than I thought. No, there would be no descriptions of Muhammad in the
never.
Torah.
There's no evidence whatsoever.
No, that's insane. However, neither here nor elsewhere does the Quran argue that the Bible of the Jews and Christians is falsified. 547 and 1094 actually suggest that the Bible is reliable. Instead, the Quran argues that the Jews in particular have hidden or misrepresented, by twisting their tongues, their revelation. Hence, Qarai's rendering, pervert words from their meanings, is accurate. The Quran's argument follows from the insistence of Christians that the Jews failed to find the predictions of Jesus Christ or allusions to God's Son in the Old Testament, a position already seen with Paul in 2 Corinthians. Then he quotes that, and then a few church fathers.
Yes. O you unto whom the book has been given, believe in what we have sent down, confirming that which is with you, before we blot out faces and turn them backwards, or curse them as we curse those who broke the Sabbath. And the command of God shall be fulfilled. Truly, God forgives not that any partner be ascribed unto him, but he forgives what is less than that for whomsoever he will. For whosoever ascribes a partner unto God has surely fabricated a tremendous sin.
Yeah, once again, we have the insistence on like no partners with God.
Mm-hmm. So no partners unto God. This refers. There's some interesting commentary here. Yeah, there's an argument that God forgiving sins. See, he forgives not this thing, but he does forgive some things.
Yeah, this is the same thing as like the unforgivable sin being like blasphemy, right? So I would think that because this is unforgivable, this would be likened to blasphemy, which to me, well, actually, again, could be actually either polytheism or any kind of Trinitarian view. Either of those could be blasphemous.
Yes. Anyways, I'm going to hand it off to you now to take over for the reading, because we're about halfway through.
You got it. All right. So you finished 48?
Yes, I finished 48.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on.
Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, share it with all your friends, family, neighbors,
people in prison. Share them with people in prison.
Mm-hmm. Anyone, if you're in an Uber,
right, with your driver,
share it with your driver.
Or if you're an Uber driver, share it with
your passenger. Play it over the radio.
Yeah, do that.
Blast us over the radio.
Good idea.
Full volume, windows down.
Yeah, but either way, so yeah, this verse 48. So regarding this verse, it's a doublet with Surah 4, verse 116. Yeah. So we'll get, I guess, more into commentary later, but yeah, apparently it's a doublet.
Yeah.
So verse 49. Have you not regarded those who style themselves as pure? Indeed, it is God who purifies whomever he wishes, and they will not be wronged so much as a single date thread.
Mm-hmm.
Single date thread.
Indicates that God does not treat people unjustly, even in the slightest way. The thread of a date stone renders fatil, which might also mean the bit of soil that one can find by scraping between one's fingers.
Yeah. This is crazy. Yeah, fatil means originally pellicle of a date stone or dirt of the skin rolled between the fingers, hence a very small thing. The reference in those who attribute purity to themselves is to such doctors of law and monks who consider themselves to be above their votaries, from whom they demand blind obedience to themselves. Hence, such people are spoken of in connection with the mention of setting up partners with God in the previous verse. So it is like, so from this one at least, idol worship would be covered, at least putting someone on the same level as God.
Yes.
Or one of his messengers.
Indeed.
Yeah. And it's also translated here as, nay, Allah purifies whomever he pleases, and they will not be wronged a whit. They will not be wronged a whit.
Yes.
Also, Sumami's here. It's been a while.
Oh, welcome, Tsunami. It's been a while.
Surprised you're still alive.
Wow.
Sounded threatening. I just haven't seen her in a while. All right, continuing on here.
Okay.
You know what?
I wonder what happened to Matthew.
He's right there. Matthew K.
Oh, that's Matthew.
No, it's a different Matthew. But I know which Matthew you're talking about. Yeah, him and Jason both kind of stopped showing up after we got done with the Bible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Either way, this one, I have a better translation for this one. Behold! Behold how they fabricate lies against God. That suffices for a flagrant sin. So yeah, blasphemy. Yeah. Now it does say look, but of course we know the real translation of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So continuing on.
Yes, indeed.
Have you not regarded those who were given a share of the book, believing in idols and satanic entities, and saying of the pagans, these are better guided on the way than the faithful? They are the ones whom God has cursed, and whomever God curses, you will never find any helper for him.
Some of those who were given a portion of the book, that means among the Jews and Christians, are criticized believing in the idols and false deities. Al-Jibt wal Tagut. Al-Jibt appears only in this verse. Al-Tagut, however, appears in several other verses and denotes a variety of false sources of authority, false objects of worship, false causes. Some identify Al-Jibt and Al-Tagut as two idols of the Quraysh. Although others consider Al-Jibt to refer to idols and Al-Tagut to soothsayers. It's also widely reported that these terms refer to two leaders of the Medinan Jews, Ka'b ibn al-Sharif and Huay ibn Akhtab, and perhaps other Medinan Jewish delegates who visited the Meccans after Badr or Uhud, when the Meccans insisted that they were good people who provided for the Kaaba pilgrims and maintained ties of kinship, while Muhammad turned away from the Kaaba and severed his ties of kinship. Ka'b and Huyai declared that the Meccans, those who disbelieve, were guided more rightly than those who believe. At the request of their hosts, the Jews reportedly paid homage to the idols Al-Jibt and Al-Tagut to convince the Meccans that they were willing to support them against the Prophet. Other reports identify Al-Jibt as a soothsayer and Al-Tagut as Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf. Still others identify Al-Jibt as sorcery and Al-Tagut as Satan, or the reverse. Al-Zamakhshari identifies Ka'b and Huyai as believers in Al-Jibt for acceding to their host's request to bow down to idols, and as believers in Tagut for obeying Satan and seeking to form an alliance against the Prophet. Al-Jibt wal Tagut can also be taken to refer to all false objects of worship, and so as a general application beyond the historical context.
You know, from the stuff that we've learned from the Bible, I feel like a translation like they believe in sorcery and diviners might be more accurate.
Yeah, they believe in idols and
satanic entities,
and witches.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. So yeah, there's satanic entities, diviners, sorcery, idols, multiple ways to translate this, or you even said like some specific entities even. So I don't know, but that's the commentary we have on it. So on to verse.
So like people who take astrology seriously.
You know what? I think we can all agree on not taking those people seriously. I sure don't.
What if they're right in the long run? Over the scale of many, many millions of years.
You know what? I guess we'll never know.
We just drifted out of position a little bit.
Yeah. So verse 53. Do they have a share in sovereignty? If so, they will not give the people so much as a speck on the date stone.
Why ask us?
Good question. Why ask us? We don't know.
Is it just a rhetorical question?
It is. It's rhetorical. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would certainly say so. I mean,
yes, it's a rhetorical question.
Of course it is.
So here.
I mean, all of these are basically rhetorical questions, right? Yeah. Like, have you not regarded these people? Like, the assumption is like, oh yeah, I've totally regarded them. Yeah. Yeah. So 54. Or do they envy those people for what God has given them out of his bounty? We have certainly given the progeny of Abraham the book and wisdom, and we have given them a great sovereignty.
Again, addressing the Jews of Medina, this verse asks if they envy the bounty. That is the prophecy that God has given to the prophet, or to the Arabs through the prophet, where there's a bunch of verses that suggest that they're envious. It suggests that the envy of the Medinan Jews toward the Muslims prevented them from accepting the prophet's message.
This one translates it as, or do they envy the people for that which Allah has given them of his grace? So,
according to Shiite interpretation,
so it could be like all of the all the prophets, all the messengers, or it could be just like, oh yeah, it would have to be right because it's the message.
According to Shiite interpretations, based on a report attributed to Jafar.
Also, how many times have we cut out or something? Like, are we cutting out or are we just lagging? Because I have seen a few times in the chat that people are like going like, "Fuck YouTube, YouTube sucks," and I don't know if that three times. Okay. So are we just lagging or are things cutting out entirely? Because on our end everything actually looks okay. I've seen like maybe like a little blip or something, but it just ends. It ends. Okay.
Ryan hasn't had a problem.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe this is like a site-wide issue.
I mean, YouTube's kind of been fucking up. So cut out doesn't register for me. Okay. Yeah, cutting out. But refresh brush back. Okay.
Why is YouTube doing so poorly lately?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue.
We've been doing YouTube for years.
Right. Yeah, and I don't remember it being this bad for this long.
This is the worst YouTube has ever been.
Right. Yeah, because like
of broadcasting,
we've had certain days that really sucked.
Yeah.
But those are just one-offs.
Yeah, but it's been very consistent over like several weeks.
Yeah. For like a month now, I think.
Whatever they're doing over at Google, they need to stop.
You know how they should fix it? They should Google it. How to fix it.
You know, I bet there's a lot of employees at Google who like forget standard programming stuff and have to Google it.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I totally would.
All the time.
Yeah.
I bet they do it on their phones though because they don't want their boss to see,
in their history that they're Googling.
That they were using Google. Yeah. Anyways,
I'll continue on.
According to Jafar al-Sadiq, the men who are envied in this verse are the prophet and his family. Sure. The bounty for which the Jews envy the prophet is prophecy, and the bounty for which that they envy the prophet's family is the spiritual authority that was granted to them.
Thing is, you could even interpret this as not just the prophecy, but all the stuff that God had given them throughout this entire time period.
Mm-hmm.
So all the times that they were actually, not being oppressed could be interpreted as, his bounty.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah, we'll do. So that was I almost got done with 54. Yeah, so we have certainly given the progeny of Abraham the book and wisdom, and we have given them a great sovereignty. Of them are some who believe in him, and of them are some who deter others from him, and hell suffices for a blaze. So that's a fun one. There's really nothing special on 55. That was pretty self-explanatory. You're going to burn in hell.
But continue, please.
Indeed, we shall soon make those who deny our signs enter a fire. As often as their skins become scorched, we shall replace them with other skins so that they may taste the punishment. God is indeed almighty, all-wise. Holy shit.
So the image of skins being consumed.
This is straight up... Remember, not even just during this time period, but there have been a few texts by the time that this was written that describe hell. Yeah. And we have, every single century, we kind of get a ramping up of how bad hell is. So, this is, around the time period of the apocalypse of Peter, I want to say. No, was it after? It might be a little bit. It's around that area. Around that time period. And that's the one that we read that describes the, liars hanging from their tongues.
Yes.
Adulteresses hanging from their hair.
But this is a little different. This seems more in line with the canonical Gospels where it talks about...
weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Weeping and gnashing of teeth. And there is a fire thing that pops up a couple of times.
But the thing is, the fire imagery.
Developed.
Yeah, the fire imagery is pretty developed by this period.
Yeah.
But anyways, the people that they're talking to would certainly know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
And it involves roasting your skin off and replacing the skin
with new skin, so it could also get roasted.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Yeah. Very Deuteronomy 28.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they don't make you eat it.
Right, yeah.
That would be Deuteronomy 28.
True. As for those, this is verse 57. As for those who have faith and do righteous deeds, we shall admit them into gardens with streams running in them to remain in them forever. In it there will be chaste mates for them, and we shall admit them into a deep shade.
So is this where the idea of the
virgins?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Spouses made pure.
But I'm actually...
Hold on. Let me see. There's commentary. Spouses made pure, likewise common. These spouses may be the same as the maidens that await the righteous in other verses. The commentators explain that the purity of these spouses means that they're free of suspicion of all forms of ritual impurity, of all impure bodily fluids and waste, of the reproductive functions of menstruation and pregnancy that characterize earthly women, as well as of all vileness, imperfection, and sin. Other verses indicate that the righteous among one's earthly spouses will join one in the garden. And so another possible meaning of spouses made pure might be that the earthly spouses are now purified.
I guess that could be an option. But when it says, at least in this translation, it says chaste, right? So I feel like, would that, I guess if someone is
made pure here.
Right, okay, so.
Let me check the other translation. This is.
That's verse 57.
Verse 57. Purified spouses.
And this one has, therein shall they have companions pure and holy. Okay. Well,
it seems to imply that there's already, like...
that you already have spouses that just become... Yeah. They just become purified. So continuing on with verse 58. Indeed, God commands you to deliver the trusts to their rightful owners and to judge with fairness when you judge between people. Excellent indeed is what God advises you. God is indeed all-hearing, all-seeing. Oh, you who have faith, obey God and obey the apostle and those vested with authority among you. And if you dispute concerning anything, refer it to God and the apostle. That'd be Muhammad, of course. Mm-hmm. If you have faith in God and the last day, that is better and more favorable in outcome. Yeah, that makes sense. Leader of the community. And he is writing to a community because I didn't mention this before, but when it talks about like men ruling over women, it says in verse 35, if you fear a split between the two of them, between a man and a woman. So this is writing to a whole community.
Right.
Yeah.
Now here, Shiites interpret those in authority among you as a reference to the Shiite imams and proof of their spiritual infallibility. Or for they claim that God would only demand obedience to one preserved from religious error. Shiite commentators also extend the command to refer to differences to God and the messenger to reply to the imams as well, because for Shiites, the imams stand in the place of the messenger after his death. In the Sufi tradition, those in authority among you can refer to Sufi sheikhs or guides, as well as to Gnostics, that is, those who have sought out and acquired spiritual knowledge of God.
They certainly have.
Now, would we count as Gnostics under that definition? Have we acquired spiritual knowledge of God?
No, probably not.
I mean, what does that mean?
It means nothing. So it's really unachievable.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't feel bad that we haven't achieved it then, because if it's unachievable, really, yeah. I feel okay with that.
Wonderful. Well, we've got some Satan stuff coming up.
Ooh, fun. Have you not regarded those who claim that they believe in what has been sent down to you and what was sent down before you? They desire to seek the judgment of satanic entities, though they were commanded to reject them, and Satan desires to lead them astray into far error. So is this the same? This is the same term from before. It is tagut.
Yeah.
Yeah. To mean, in this one, satanic entities.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have anything specific on...
There's some theological notes.
Sure,
The last line implicates Satan, not God, in their having been led astray. And for some, this serves as a refutation of the predestinarian theological view that holds that God chooses to guide or mislead certain people. When this hypocrite and others like him are called to what God has sent down, they turn away from the prophet. The hypocrites turn from you could be translated as the hypocrites turn others from you, referring to a hypocrite's rejection of the Jews' suggestion that they take their dispute to the prophet. The behavior of the hypocrites who turn away when they're called to what God has sent down is contrasted by the description of the believers. For some, the present verse is a rebuke to all those who seek judgment outside of the Quran and the Sunnah, or a general prohibition against seeking judgment from anyone who does not judge by God's law.
Also, April, I like that idea. So April says, honestly, though, I think we should do a biblical training show that can help us rebuke Christian nationalists' arguments. So if you have...
we could do some topic videos for sure.
Yeah. So I guess
we haven't really done that on the channel before, have we? There's like certain, but not like, just outright, this is what the Bible says about this kind of stuff. Like abortion, you could say.
Right. I wanted to do I actually posted this on Patreon. The people on Patreon thought it was a good idea to do a video on abortion in the Bible. So I do want to do that, which does sound necessary. But I guess, are there other big ones that you're thinking? So like if you can think of a bunch of topics for us to cover, we could totally go over that.
We could talk about slavery.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. But although I feel like
it's a very covered topic.
Yeah, Dr. Josh is really kind of really taking a hold of that.
We could ride his coattails.
Yeah, we could. True. We just get him on the channel and just like have him say the same thing he said in every other video.
Yeah, we could. I mean, that's his thing, right? He's
the slavery guy.
Wow, that's
whoa.
It's really not what you want to be.
Unfortunately, I think he knows that, but but he has written a lot about that.
I wonder what like Bibles in schools and stuff.
Oh yeah, that one I want to do an entire dive into like the legal system. Like I wanted to get all fucking legal about it.
But what would I mean? The Bible doesn't really say that much about secular education.
No, it doesn't. No, but the thing is, like, it wouldn't be about teaching the Bible, at least from the perspective I would have. I would have come across it as here's why this is not constitutional. Here's why this is a bad idea. Here are the legal precedents for such a thing. That I would have like really done a deep dive into it. Like I was really thinking about it.
I think that it wouldn't be biblically sound to like force Bibles and 10 Commandments in public schools, right? Because I think the instructions are like to instruct your children, right?
Sure, but you could argue that
that doesn't mean you instruct someone else's children.
Sure, yeah.
It doesn't mean you instruct the children of the community. And we do know that there was a long-standing tradition of non-Jews living in the region who would commonly be around. I mean, I'm sure that there were scribe schools or something that they participated in that they didn't necessarily have the religious elements forced onto them, though I'm not sure if they would distinguish that from the culture,
from just culture.
At the time.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Well, either way, those are like that would be something I'm interested in doing. But yeah, like I'll take a list of topics and we can run through them, see what happens. Yeah, but that is a good idea. All right, I will continue on though with verse 61.
Do it.
There I saw one of the blips. Whoa. So maybe
that was not us. That was on it.
Yeah, that was YouTube. That was YouTube. I
didn't see it here.
See, there we go. The stream interrupt again. Yeah, there we go. I saw it on the screen. It just turned black for a second.
You saw it live.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 4. When they are, so this is verse 61. When they are told, "Come to what God has sent down and come to the apostle, you see the hypocrites keep away from you aversely. But how will it be when an affliction visits them because of what their hands have sent ahead? Then they will come to you, swearing by God, we desired nothing but goodwill and
harmony.
Harmony. Well, yeah. Okay. This one is a different word than I've never seen before.
It
says, "Is this comedy?" Except it's spelled COMITY. Comedy. But it's but it sounds weird
Not
to say.
Comedy.
Yeah,
but
comedy. Comedy. Yeah, I haven't heard that word.
Oh.
Yeah, have you?
Now you have.
I haven't.
Yeah, congratulations.
There's a lot of like
you learn
English.
Something new every day.
I really do.
Every time you open the Quran.
Yeah, I learned something new. A new English word. So yeah, for this section, what do they mean by the when the affliction visits them because of what their hands
foxholes kind of thing?
But it says from what their hands have sent ahead. So I know that there's this at least in Judaism there was this idea of like, well, if you fuck up, the God will send an affliction against you. Basically, that's the idea of the Babylonian exile.
Mm-hmm. How will it be when misfortune befalls them because of what their hands have set forth? So it's like blaming the victim.
I mean, essentially, yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't seem. Wait, hold on. Is this verse not as long in this one? Oh no, it is. I just skipped the page. Okay. Yeah, no commentary on that one. But yeah, my guess is that it has to do with like victim blaming. That's my guess. Mm-hmm. Like the same idea that we see in the Old Testament. All right, continuing on though.
Yep.
They are, and these are people who do that while thinking they're doing good. Mm-hmm. They are the ones whom God knows as to what is in their hearts. So let them alone and advise them and speak to them concerning themselves far-reaching words.
So just talk them out of that.
Yeah, think things concerning themselves. Yeah. We did not send any apostle, but to be obeyed by God's leave. Had they, when they wronged themselves, come to you and pleaded to God for forgiveness, and the apostle had pleaded forgiveness for them, they would have surely found God clement and merciful. But no, by your Lord, they will not believe until they make you a judge in their disputes. Then do not find within their hearts any dissent to your verdict and submit in full submission.
So people cannot be considered believers until they make the prophet the judge between them in their disputes, and have no doubt or unease about his judgments. One report connects this verse to the case of a dispute brought to the prophet for a judgment by the prophet's early companion and cousin, Al-Zubair ibn al-Awam, and one of his neighbors concerning the use of a water channel. The neighbor was unhappy with the prophet's ruling and suggested that they had favored al-Zabit because al-Zabir was his cousin. This verse was revealed chastising his critical attitude towards the prophet's judgment. However, it seems more likely that the verse continues the discussion of the incident addressed in verses 60 through 64, although it may have been involved in relation to the incident with al-Zabir.
You know, this does seem to me like the foundation for like not effectively questioning your own beliefs. Because I asked one of my Muslim friends what would like if I knew a guy who had an argument that was so good an argument against God that was so good that anyone who heard it would stop believing in God. An argument that was that good. And it, like, let's say he was also right. Let's say there was actually no God and he had constructed this argument to be able to prove that there was no God.
That's a good hypothetical. I like that.
No, yeah, I know. And I asked him, if this guy existed, would you want to hear this argument? And then the guy said, well, I would hear him out. But I'm like, but hearing him out necessitates that you stop believing because that's the premise. And he's like, no, my faith is so strong that it would not even be shifted. That was the extent. We had a bigger conversation about
that's
it.
Some plot armor.
So he would listen to what he has to say, but he wouldn't like enter it with good faith.
Right, yeah.
Right? He wouldn't be open to the idea of changing his mind.
Right, yeah.
Even if the argument is perfect.
Right. Because like even though in the hypothetical, it necessitates that if he listened to it, he would stop believing in God. That's part of the hypothetical.
Because their belief in God isn't based off of like a rational decision, right?
And I think this verse really kind of solidifies it too. About like if you really want to like plead to God, you need to fully accept it without a doubt.
No questioning.
Yeah, exactly. So
Islam, it means you submit.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty messed
up. Let's
up.
wrap this up, guys. This is a long one.
No, it's not. It's not. It hasn't even been an hour and a half.
Yeah, he says that every time we get like a little bit over an hour.
Yeah, it's been a long one.
Chris gets antsy.
Yeah, that is true.
About an hour.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to take a nap.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, where was I? Yeah, what verse was that? Was that 60?
I think that was 65.
Well, 65.
We're really
okay.
close anyways.
There we go. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just restart the whole thing.
Wow. Yeah. No.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Yeah. So they, dissent to your verdict and submit in full submission. So 66. Had we prescribed for them, commanding, slay the guilty. So this is had we. So let's be clear here right now. Yeah, if we had done this. If we had commanded them saying, slay the guilty among your folks or leave your habitations, they would not have done it except a few of them. And if they had done as they were advised, it would have been better for them and stronger in confirming their faith. Oh boy. Let's hope they all take the leaving.
When they say leave your homes, what are they referring to? Forced relocation?
That's kind of what it sounds like. Like if those are your two options, either kill someone or leave.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the circumstances. So that was what verse? Yeah, that was verse 66. If we hadn't enjoined them, lay down your lives or go forth from your homes. The companions of the prophet had to lay down their lives in defense of their faith and had to leave their homes for the sake of their religion. But the hypocrites at Medina were too weak of heart to undergo such hardships. Of course. Of course it was. I mean, I think there's should be another comment here.
Yeah, there's not really anything of substance in here.
Yeah, or the highest in faith willingly sacrifice their lives and their homes, but those hypocrites, they don't. All right.
So it's not about forced relocation. Though they are being forcibly relocated in a way. They're being forcibly relocated by the virtue of the fact that they have faith, so they have to do what is commanded of them, which, I mean, they're not forced. They do it willingly. But they are relocated and they have no input on it whatsoever because it was just stipulated that they're not allowed to question when they're given a judgment about something.
Right. Yeah, what a bummer. Then we would have surely given them from us a great reward, and we would have guided them to a straight path. So if you fully, go balls deep with it, that's when you get your reward.
What do you think of this chapter?
That was probably the worst that we've read.
Yeah, that's why I wanted the show to end.
I was like emotionally exhausted.
Well, let's just be perfectly
Take nothing
clear.
Personally. The text was awful.
Yeah, this
surah
is like
very explicitly endorses extremely chauvinistic values, including beating women.
Yeah. But only if they're like really, really bad.
But that's also a later right. Only if they're really, really bad, which could mean just about anything. And like the lightness of not beating them so hard that they're like bruised up. That's a later interpretation.
Right, yeah.
That is not necessarily the goal of the text itself.
Such a humane interpretation nonetheless.
I mean, the thing is they have to get, because they know that it's like, they know that it's immoral at all. So they have to kind of go around it. This is what apologists do. Christians apologists do this shit all the time.
Like, I don't think that they could run a society like this functionally. Like, I mean, they could if they just absolutely subjugate women.
It would be very
like an authoritarian regime, no matter what.
It would be very Confucian.
Oh yeah.
No, Confucian as in like
like hierarchical.
Yeah, I get
hierarchical
it.
has to be that way because that's the way it is. Very because I said so. That's what I mean.
So this is Islam's position essentially.
The thing is if you compared it to like some other verses about women having the ability to initiate a divorce, I was like, okay, that's something, right? But this is just like, well, now it doesn't fucking matter what you said before.
The women have the ability to beat your wives.
Yep.
Wow.
You know how excited
incredible.
those guys were when they found out they could do that?
Right.
There's a
Fucking
lot
animals.
about Jews in here. And it doesn't surprise me that there's been a long history of anti-Semitism in various areas that adhere closely to this religious texts.
Yeah, we also got another blip though.
Yeah.
I mean, we seem to be coming back like almost immediately, but at least it didn't crash. Yeah.
No, we're not crashing at all. The system today is surprisingly stable, despite I think the computer's on its last leg. It regrew a leg.
It regrew one, yeah.
Yeah, it's now on 2 legs.
Implemented an AI system that is prioritizing bandwidth, and the smaller streamers are getting affected most. Yeah, that tracks. Okay.
Ooh, I understand.
That tracks.
We are about a third of the way through
All right.
the surah, and we will continue next time.
Oh, wait, hold on. T-shirt.
Let's wait till I have an idea. You're going to like this since we've been late all the time
Oh,
anyways.
okay.
We should wait for the holidays and roll it twice.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Special.
Okay, you're right. We also did forget
generic
again
holiday giveaway.
We forgot the T-shirt giveaway again. But yeah, I do like that idea. We'll do it twice for the holidays.
Generic
I like that.
holiday.
Yeah.
Generic holiday.
Generic holiday giveaway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will.
But either way, by the way, we have T-shirts.
Yeah, I pinned it.
You did? Okay,
pinned
great.
Yep.
So we have the
We
T-shirt
have a
pinned.
Discord. We have an Amazon wish list. There's
Winter
Lawrence's OnlyFans. There's, like.
How did you know about that?
Oh, geez, everybody knows about that.
He's your only fan.
I mean, there's all
it's
sorts
mean.
of stuff out there.
You hate that idea of what? Giving away 2 shirts? I don't know. I think that's a good idea.
And somebody could win twice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
It could be
Terrifying.
Landon twice. It could be Landon twice.
Yes, it could be.
All right. Well.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, click all the other links and we'll see you next week
Yep.
when
Bye.
the show happens.